Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Bloomburrow. Without further ado, let's get into the pack one, pick one. So Fountain Port is the most flexible option here. It's going to give us a mana sink if we're flooding out in any deck we end up playing. So I kind of like taking it just for a card that 100% makes the cut. But I do think these uncommons are really pretty strong cards and are going to be more consistently useful because this is only really useful late in the game when we don't have anything else to do, although it does work pretty well at that point. We have like Lily Splash Mentor, an incredible build around for the Frogs decks. Frogs have a lot of great enter the battlefield effects, and this can re-up those over and over and over again. The Overseer is great in Swirl decks because you're foraging, exiling cards from grave or sacking foods, and then you're drawing cards off of this. And Shoreline Looter is good for basically any blue deck, but particularly good in blue-black rats because you're drawing and discarding cards, and when you're discarding those cards, you're filling your graveyard for Threshold, which is the blue-black mechanic in the format. So I do think those uncommons were good enough to take to take over Fountain Port if you really wanted to, but I'm just going to stay pretty open for now. Pick 2, we've got a great removal spell with Feed the Cycle here. Super efficient removal, even if you cast it for double black and 1. We've got Clifftop Lookout. Great ramp card, excellent card to flicker with all of your frog flicker effects. There's a Scrap Shooter, which is a 3 mana 4/4 reach at worst. So at worst, it's ridiculously big for its mana cost. Does not seem bad at all. I think with these 3 cards at the top left here, don't really want to look anywhere else in the pack because these are so dang strong. Although Patchwork Banner can be incredibly powerful for a very streamlined deck focused on one creature type. So let's grab the Scrap Shooter here, though. I haven't managed to draft a deck that's been like all one creature type yet. I have done plenty that have like 10 of a certain creature type, but not quite like, 15 creatures and every single one's a rabbit or anything like that. So I'm going to pass up on that little typo buffer and grab the Scrap Shooter here, which is just going to be great in any green deck. And I think this turtle's probably great in any green deck too. And it's a pretty good sign to get past 2 green rares in a row, as well as this great green uncommon. So this is a 5 mana 4/6 reach. That's already just a solid stat line for the cost. When it enters the battlefield or another creature with toughness greater than its power enters, you get to look at the top card of your library, and if it's a land, you put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, put it into your hand. Yeah, that's excellent. It's a 5 mana 4/6 reach that draws you a card the second it enters the battlefield, even if you have no other cards that synergize with it. All right, we'll take 2 green rares in a row and just go for it. Here's another great green ramp card. This also triggers our green shell because it has more toughness than it has power. So that seems pretty fun and keeps us with a very clear direction here. Green rampy nonsense. We could go off color for the removal spell in the pack of Take Out the Trash, or one of these solid uncommons. Night Fisher seems pretty sweet, but blue-green is not going to have a ton of birds in it, so we can't trigger it super often. But this is still a 5 mana 4/5 flyer, which is quite a large evasive threat, good at ending the game, and it has more toughness than power. So it is another card to trigger the green shell, but I'm going to stick to the green here. Pick number 5. Sticky Tongue Sentinel is fine if you have some really good enter the battlefield effects, since you do have to actually fully pick up your permanence and replay it in a future turn. This is one of the less efficient ways to redo your enter the battlefield effects. Is there anything great off color? I am a pretty big fan of Intrepid Rabbit. Great for anything remotely aggressive, gives you a wide board, gives you a big buff on that turn you play it for extra damage to break through some blockers. I think this is my favorite off color card, but Shrike Force and Playful Shove are pretty fun too. I think it's mainly between the Rabbit and the Sentinel here, and I'm just going to play it boringly safe here and grab the Sticky Tongue Sentinel. Pick number 6. Okay, not in love with this pack. Gossip's Talents can be good in a frog deck, but it requires a lot of time and a lot of mana. So if your opponent's aggressive and the game is going to come down to how much damage you can get in quickly, like how much you're affecting the board early, this is going to play really badly. But if you get into a board stall where you're both staring at each other and you have a bunch of creatures on board, this is going to take over the game and win the game. because it's going to let you keep getting unblockable attacks in and keep redoing your enter the battlefield effects. So it's very game dependent, it's very matchup dependent, but in the right spot, it's pretty incredible. Splash Portal is another fun option if we go for blue-green frogs that can redo one of our enter the battlefield effects one time and draw us another card. So that'd be reasonable too. Actually might have been better than the Gossip's talent there. Pick 7, Pond Prophet is an incredible card to keep flickering, keep bouncing this frog and drawing a bunch of extra cards, but the 3-tree Scribe gives you some pretty big advantages for flickering your cards and putting them back in your hand and everything. I feel like normally I'd probably take Pawn Prophet first because you really want to have cards with good enter the battlefield effects, but I'm going to take 3-tree Scribe first just because, once again, higher toughness than power. I'm just going to make sure our whole deck absolutely pops off with this green shell. And for pick 8, now we can flicker one of our enter the battlefield effect cards. We could grab a fine combat trick. We could grab a flexible little main deckable removal spell. Just random hate for flyers and enchantments, and you can always just cycle it away to draw a card. Fine pack. Star Charter is definitely the best card, but it's not good in green-white. I'll just grab the flexible thingy. Pick 9, Lily Splash Mentor. We did it. We wheeled this card, and it was one of the best cards in the pack. That means Frogs is decently open. There's probably one other Frog drafter at the table maximum, and they decided on Frogs after they saw the Lily Splash Mentor. So let's go. Green, blue Frogs. We want a lot of great enter the battlefield effects, as well as a lot of ways to return our Frogs to our hand or flicker them, put them into exile, put them back on the board to trigger cards like 3-tree Scribe. So this is going to be a fun deck. Sunshower Druid, also another higher toughness than power card, which is pretty perfect with the green shell. Alright, we're not taking a frog out of this pack because Paw Patch Recruit seems pretty busted. A 1-mana 2/1 trample is just a good deal up front, but this also gives you the flexibility of playing it for 3 mana to get a 2/1 trample and a 1/1 trample, and whenever any of your cards are targeted by your opponent's removal or anything like that, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. So if they kill the Paw Patch Recruit with some burn spell, you just buff up your other creature on board and still get some value out of it. It's pretty excellent. So we're taking the Recruit. Also love that it fits into the curve as either a 1-mana play or 3-mana play, dependent on what we've drawn and where we need it on curve. Let me sort our cards that we're not playing on those turns out of the curve. It looks like it's just one non-creature right now. I guess Gossip's Talent is not a creature. It is a permanent still, so we're probably playing it somewhat on curve. I guess we'd play pretty much any 2-drop creature over this, though, so we'll put that in the not on curve slot. Pack 2, pick 2. Alright, so Thornvault Forager. It's gonna be pretty excellent if we draft just a couple random squirrels to go with it, because it's gonna be a 2-mana 2/2 that ramps up into our big late game plays. And when we don't need it to ramp anymore, we can just draw a couple squirrels off of it. So I think this card is really, really good, but Portent of Calamity is also pretty excellent. Yeah, you do need a lot of different card types for this to be good, but if you can hit like a card of 4 different types or something, this is a draw 4. Put them all into your hand, sometimes even cast 1 for free. Pretty cool. I think I'd still rather go for the Forager, though. A lot deeper into green here, and again, with just a couple other squirrels, it becomes just a 2-drop mana dork, which is already good, with a ton of upside. Pack 2, pick 3. Take the Pond Prophet. I think I'm still looking for really good enter the battlefield effects right now. Currently just have the Sunshower Druid, really. I'm already playing a lot of cards that care about flickering things, but not a lot of cards to flicker. Yeah, we have the Mentor and the Sentinel to pick things up or flicker them. We have the 3-tree Scribe that wants me to flicker things. Yeah, I mean, obviously I want the Pond Prophet and the Long River Lurker, but I feel like the Lurker's probably slightly more likely to wheel. If anyone else is in this draft playing frogs, then neither's going to wheel here. But I don't think any non-frog player is going to be that interested in the Long River Lurker, but they could be interested in the Pond Prophet if they're deep into green or deep into blue, because it's still just decent value up front. Now we get a nice little frog rare, Dream Dew Entrancer, so the goal with this card is pretty clearly you get to stun your own card, draw a couple cards, and then you just pick that card up with something that puts it back in your hand or flickers it on board. But it has the flexibility. You can just stun one of your opponent's creatures for quite some time as well to break through for some damage, so card is great. Pick 5, Head of the Homestead is a fine card to flicker late in the game, or Junkblade Bruiser is just a big finisher. I'm going to be much deeper into green than blue, so hitting a double blue counterspell is not going to happen on curve very often. We'll only have that up pretty late in the game. Stocking the Pantry's cute. I don't think we have a ton of +1/+1 counter nonsense going on here, though. I'll just take the Head of the Homestead here. Big roadblock that also is a good card to flicker later. Splash Portal looks good for the deck. Sticky Tongue Sentinel also looks fine. Treetop Sentries could be okay too, just to have, one or two other squirrels to go with a Thorn Vault Forager. On one squirrel right now. I'm also on an incredibly low non-creature count currently, although Splash Portal's not much different, because it's not going to do anything without a creature on board. Okay, pick 7. Fine little draw spell, I guess. Mill 4, put the best permanent into our hand. Sure. Just give me some non-creature options to work with. Finch Formation has a solid enter the battlefield effect, and it's a great draw late in the game when you have that Offspring mana for a bunch of extra damage. Another Paw Patch Formation. Now another Sticky Tongue Sentinel. Sky Skipper Duo for a flicker effect. And we're almost at a full deck here. We've got 22 playables. One of them is a land, so we have 21 non-lands right now. But we are in that kind of position where most of pack 3, we get to just swap out our weakest card from the deck and just focus on improving. We don't need to fill the deck out anymore. We have all the filler we could ever need. And we've opened up a very solid synergy piece for a frog deck. And that is the Mist Breath Elder. So it's a 1-mana 2/2. The downside is that if you control any other creatures on board, you have to put them back to your hand in your upkeep. But frog decks can turn that into an upside with the right creature alongside it. If we have this on board with a Sunshower Druid, a Pond Prophet, a 3-Tree Scribe, anything like that in the early game, and this ability turns into upside pretty quickly. So I think that's kind of sweet. Alternatively, I'm incredibly low on removal. I, in fact, have basically 0, so I could just take the Longstock Brawl, because green seems to be pretty fought over. But I can't resist going for goofy little frog combos here, so we'll just end up with a no-removal deck while I take all the fun cards. So here's a 2-mana 1/3 Vigilance. Can't be blocked by creature's power 2 or greater. Whenever it attacks, something becomes a 2/2 until the end of the next turn. So you make it so that can't block it. This can block it fine. I mean, it seems fine. I feel like Tree Guard Duo is just going to be better for this deck, but this is good on curve. It's just a 2-drop to play. Yeah, I'll take the Tree Guard Duo. Also, the Curious Forager seems like a really good play in the late game. Maybe the pick was Curious Forager there. That'd be like an excellent card to tutor off of the Thorn Vault Forager, because we're not going to tutor anything off of this until super late in the game. So by the time that we have that extra mana to just tutor something out there, we'll definitely be in a good position to forage and pick something up from grave. I'm just going to take this Rampager here. Looks like the slot on the curve where we want something else. Perfect. Let's get a Pond Prophet now. Yep, we're going to be on the 0 removal deck, but got some pretty crazy combos in here. Oh, no. All right. Well, I have to take Longstock Brawl now. I'm almost 100% sure on that. which is sad because I'm seeing this second copy of 3 Tree Scribe and getting really excited about that, but I don't think I can afford to take it with a 0 removal. We'll take the Longstock Brawl. I guess again, technically we have removal for flyers and enchantments, but that's super narrow. Okay, pick 6, another Rampager. What do you have to gift for this? Give them a fish? All right. Probably not wanting to gift with that very often. Pick 7. Mascot, just to curve out. It's another frog. Seems fine. Could take a draw 3 for the late game, I guess. We do have 7 cards that cost 2 or less already. We don't really need the fixing. Oh, perfect. Pick 8 Polywallop. That feels really lucky. And if we see a Polywallop pick 8, maybe we'll get the other Longstock Brawl pick 9. That was in our opening pack. I took a Mistbreath Elder over that. So super happy to see the Polywallop. This is like perfect removal for the Frog deck. There we go. All right, beautiful. We have double Longstock Brawl and a Polywallop, and we drafted a bunch of creatures with higher toughness than power for the green shell, which means we've naturally just drafted a bunch of creatures that can fight pretty well for the Longstock Brawl. So now it looks like the deck really isn't missing anything. It's pretty much got all its bases covered. We're happy to see this. Now I'm just going to start drafting for collection purposes, although we might play a Waterspout Warden. Probably not. Alright, still don't have all those uncommons. Runaway Together is definitely playable in a frog deck. You pick up your Pond Prophet, kind of just cheap creature with a good enter effect, and you bounce your opponent's big, 5-drop finisher. Slow them down a lot, but just get extra value yourself. I think the card plays pretty well. Alright, so pretty sure our Thornvault Forager sadly is just going to end up being a mana dork. Because I did not take any other squirrels. I do have the one changeling, but it's not a very good one. Unless you're like a self-mill deck. You're like a squirrels deck with like 4 copies of Cash Grab to mill for, and you just want to be really confident you're not going to lose that way. But we are not that kind of deck, so doesn't really do much of anything. Try this Rampager thing. This also has higher toughness than power, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, we've got plenty of cards for the green shell. Alright, let's drop these random cards. Still need to cut 6 more. I feel like we have a lot of good flicker and put it back in our hand and, run away together and splash portal stuff. Probably drop the Gossip's Talon just because it is quite slow. Still want to cut a few more creatures, ideally. I feel like Waterspout Warden is that great for a frog deck. Because frogs, there aren't too many cards that specifically care about the frog creature type. It's really about those enter the battlefield effects and re-upping those, and this is just getting flying till end of turn. So, I mean, as you're doing all your flickering, you get to get some flying damage in, which is cute, but not like incredible or anything, not that interested in it. Like the Sentinel's a lot better, the Scrap Shooter and the Lookout are obviously great, and I think the Finch formation's just better than that too. We gotta cut some creatures here, and that's the most cluttered part of the curve. Double drop those Wardens. We're still at 17 creatures right now, so we could still cut 1 or 2 more. We can kind of cut wherever we want here. Still be a nice creature-heavy deck. Really like all these creatures, honestly. Maybe we can cut these kind of paw patch formations. They are pretty matchup dependent. Again, there is always the just draw a card backup plan. That's not bad. How weak is our deck to flyers? It's honestly not that weak to flyers. We have 3 3-mana reach creatures. We've got a 4-drop with reach. Actually, multiple 4-drops with reach as well. We've got tons of reach. And we have removal. 3 fight or bite spells and a bounce with runaway together. Yeah, I'm just going to drop the formations. Final cut. Got 4 different 5-mana things to do. I mean, I guess I have a little ramp with the Lookout and the Forager. So 4 5 drops, 4 4 drops is not terrible. I could also just cut a Sticky Tongue Sentinel and have just the world's funniest curve of just an even line at all the mana values. Yeah, I mean, I'll just drop a Sticky Tongue Sentinel, since we have to fully recast the creature we're picking up. Can be a lot of mana. And we already got Runaway together and Mistbreath Elder for bouncers, where we have to recast. Sure, gotta make room somewhere. Deck looks super solid and pretty excited to see how it does as we hop into the gameplay. Alright, here we are on the play for game 1. We have Mistbreath Elder Pond Prophet combo. You can use these to make sure we're drawing into our lands. Keeping a 2-lander here. I mean, I would keep this without the Mistbreath Elder, just 1 piece of card draw towards another land. But now we have theoretically infinite card draw. As much card draw as the game goes long. So they do have to interact with some piece of our puzzle here. They're not going to do it yet, they just drop a little Burrow Guard Mentor. Do you want to chump block, yes or no? Alright, if I drop the 3-mana 4/4, I'm just going to have to pick it up anyway, so we obviously drop the Pond Prophet here. Draw another card. And I don't mind just fighting the Mentor away. Don't really want to give them the fish, but I could make that a 2/2 and give them a fish, but I'd be making it a 2/2 and then just picking it up anyway. So let's just get rid of the Mentor with that. Even if they have the 3-mana Banishing Light style removal for the Elder, it's already gotten us some good value here. Another card draw. And they do. It's going to be a Parting Gust. At least we get a fish back. So considering that we are playing against white, there is a little bit of an argument to hold on to Scrap Shooter because one of white's best removal spells at common is an enchantment. So we could play like the Lookout instead to ramp into playing a 5-drop next turn, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Our opponent is at 13, so there's also obviously a pretty huge argument for just playing a 4/4 and trying to pressure that life total. But I think they're relatively likely to have a good target for Scrap Shooter by the end of this game. And potentially very quickly, like if they just untap and then Banishing Light. That would be horrible if we'd played the Scrap Shooter. Alright, a 3/4 is an issue. I could stun it by giving them a fish, I guess. Draw a bunch of new stuff. But I think we're just playing the board here with Head of the Homestead into Finch formation when we hit our 6th land. Makes sense to me. Not playing the 4/4 is panning out kind of badly right now. But again, I'm playing around probably the most highest picked white common. Alright, Harvest Trite Host. They are green-white rabbits, so that will draw them cards. They get 2 rabbits on the board, but also, thanks to their land, it is a 4/4. Okay, Lily Splash Mentor is excellent, but I need some time to play around with that. Did not hit land 6 for the double Finch formation jump. I could do a single Finch formation jump here and lead into the Lily Splash Mentor getting future jumps. And that lets me also just start hitting them for 2 a turn in the sky for now. And then once I start jumping things, I'm getting counters onto the flyer. That makes sense to me. I mean, we've got a wide enough board state here. We could eventually get just a Mind Spiral tap for lethal. Five mana, tap target creature. Pretty bad in general. Well, this is the board wipe. That's unfortunate. There's no world where they attack if they don't have like a board wipe here. Oh, Arena crashed. That's lovely to see. Give that a reboot here. Maybe our opponent's just doing the Trixie line. Send in, get your opponent's client to crash, and because it crashed, they lose. Oh no. That's concerning too. Description, 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 description. Please work, Arena. At least by the time it's my turn. Okay, cool. Now I can choose blockers. All right. So again, this is just, there's no way they do this unless it's pretty much the board wipe, right? So we might as well chump chump and take no damage before we get board wiped. It says it's 5 mana, destroy everything, your opponent draws a card. It's not? That's wild. Was it a misclick then? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna send lethal here and we'll see. Oops. I get to choose who draws the 3. I almost let them draw 3. They got 1 white mana removal? Nope. All right, that was weird for a couple reasons. First, obviously, that was a super aggressive attack from our opponent, but second, that arena crash into description, description, description. Third, we have diamond tier 2 with a single blob. There's not the 5 levels to it. Concerning start, not because of how our deck's doing, that was pretty good, but just because Arena's getting a little funky with it. But we start things off 1-0. Here we are for game 2. World's saddest Mist Breath Elder. He's all alone. There's no one here beside him. Just here to throw some little dewdrops at our opponent's face. Green-black, maybe they'll just devour him, or whatever it's called. Savor the flavor. I would not like to return my 2/2 to my hand. Would I like to give them a fish? Not particularly, but I don't really have anything better to do. And I can always bounce the fish as well as one of my own creatures later. Sure. Have a fish, friend. Boom. Couldn't transfer my own creature and then run away together later. I don't know. The trade here is honestly not bad. Elder's not actually that good unless you have like 1 or 2 mana creatures with good enter the battlefield effects. Constantly replaying a 4-drop is going to be rough on us. Not actually expanding the board at all, so I don't really want to polywallop this druid. I'm just going to send in. And if we trade, we trade. Okay, we do not trade. Well, then we are holding up the polywallop. Take 5. That way we get to see what they play turn 4 with all this mana. Alright. The big issue with Polywallop, we really can't afford to use it right now, because if they are holding up an instant speed removal spell, they'll kill our creature and discard our removal spell all in one fell swoop. So that's the downside there. If they just pass turn without tapping any mana, we can't really afford to attempt the Polywallop there. Okay, now I can get a Vigilant swing, though, which is pretty nice. And we just get some Vigilant Mist Breath Elder swings throughout this game, or we get to trade the Mist Breath Elder off on blocks so they don't have to keep picking up my 4-drop creatures. Either way looks reasonable right now. Sure, that's fine. The Elder is gone. I'm not going to block the Druid of the Spade here if they attack, because we can set up a pretty big blowout combat leader, potentially. Okay, they're not even going to let me try to block. But if we can bounce their fish, the Druid loses its +2 and trample, and then we might be able to win a combat we wouldn't have otherwise. Okay, Sunshower Druid is not a bad draw at all. So, we're on Entrancer plus Druid. I don't think we're stunning their creature. I mean, I guess I actually could, right? Because then I can run away together, picking up the Entrancer to draw the cards later. Want to be ahead in cards here. But I'm also at 8 life. And I have a Fountain Port to take over the long game. If we run out of cards, we can just dump a bunch of mana into this and end up ahead. Yeah, I think we really need to just be focused on surviving right now. And the best way to do that is going to be stunning the Druid. That buys us a lot of time. Can have a 2/2 fish to block their Boxer as well. Keeps Entrancer out of the way of any tricks. Oof. Alright, well. Chump with the O2 here. Lose our best runaway together target, although Entrancer's still pretty good. Yeah, I'm not going to chump with a 2/2 fish. Splash Portal. Alright. Can draw 3 off of that. I can Polywallop the Tree Guard duo while they're tapped out. Polywallop plus Runaway together means we can ruin any blocks here. So we'll get our free damage, then I think I Polywallop the duo while they're tapped out. Actually, don't think I'm stunning my own card again. No, I mean 3/4 against the 3/2. They need a trick here. They have all spells in hand, though. They haven't played a land last turn. I will draw the extra cards. Those are not really cards. Okay. So now I can just... Entrancer blocks the Boxer. And if they do any tricks here, then I run away together and put it back in my hand and kill their fish. Green Shell, that's my rare. Alright. Excellent card is excellent. That'd be a sweet draw if we can find it. Too big for an Entrancer to deal with. Do I run away together right now? And then stun it? Seems decent, actually. They're not the draws we're looking for. I could sack my fish to draw a card since it's stunned for 2 more turns anyway. Unless they might have to at this rate. With this hand. Cash grab's pretty excellent. Picks up another threat and gives them a food for foraging. and it is a foraging threat. Keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they've got the Polywallop too. Well, they are drawing significantly more spells than us, so we are very far behind here. It's pretty unfortunate. Definitely have no choice but to draw the card off the fish now with 0 gas left. Dang. Now that I am out of permanence, I draw the Lily Splash Mentor. Oof. Oh, the cash grab gave them the token to make the Druid a Trampler again. If it weren't for cash grab giving them that food, Druid would be too small to attack into the Lily Splash Mentor. Oof, the cash grab found a high toughness creature as well to trigger Green Shell. I mean, things are just running out a lot better for our opponent here. Yep. Forge, exiling cards in grave instead of the food on board. So that the Druid of the Spade is still a big trampler, and I can't afford to make a fish here. If I let the Druid hit me, I'd be at 1 life, and if I make a fish, I go to 0. This is rough. I don't think we even have any top decks at this point that can change this, but we'll see. Two mana 2/2 is certainly not the draw we need. We simply get trampled over for lethal, and that is game. A little too much flood there early. You'd think the frogs would be into it, but I'm not personally. Game 3, already concerned this could end just like last game. We are starting with a very high land count in hand. But we did draw into the 2-drop, which helps considerably. It's a haste prowess, right? Yeah, that's pretty big damage. Hopefully they don't have the cheap burn to go with that. If they do, we are going to get just slammed real quick here. Alright, no cheap burn yet. They're going to play the Tempest Angler first. Recruit's a great draw. Legitimately. Because now I can just tap out for this with its offspring. Next turn I can pick it up with the Sentinel and Splash Portal. Although Splash Portal's not that good on our board next turn. But picking up the Recruit is good because then I can recast it for another offspring later. And I also trigger the 3-tree Scribe at the same time when I pick up the Recruit. Put a +1/+1 counter somewhere on the board. Alright, there's a Pathmaker. Exile a card, they can play it till their next turn. It's just going to be an island for next turn. Sentinel, pick up Recruit. We're not replaying Recruit right now, but I could play Splash Portal. Triggers off of creatures, right? Yeah, creatures. Four toughness is out of reach of a lot of the burn. There's a lot of 3 damage burn. There's a 4 damage burn spell as well. Okay, I could immediately recast the Recruit, or I could cast Splash Portal, or I can just pass because neither looks that great here. If I Splash Portal the Scribe, I draw a card and put a counter on this this 1/1 bunny. Probably fine. Because next turn 5 mana is going to be 3 on Recruit, 2 on Polywallop, so all of our mana next turn is accounted for as well. Yeah, sure. Kind of want to double check, make sure I'm only running 17 lands. I am indeed only running 17 lands. Double Stormcatch Mentor and the 2-for-1 removal? Well, I get 2 counters. Wait, what is this? Okay, so this is taking 5 damage, right? And this is taking 3. Oh, that's taking 2. So I can make sure the token survives then. Oh, I could have made the 6/6 survive because I'm getting 2 counters here. Oof. Oh, wait, no, I couldn't make this survive. Because it's one of the creatures getting targeted. So I could have this target that, but I couldn't have this target this. So I could have made this a 5/5 that would still die. So we make this a 3/3 that lives, and we do this counter there. Since I had to do the counter on something that wasn't getting targeted each time. I'd trade the 3/3 with a really good ability for the 4/2 with no ability. I don't think so. Let's go to 15. Lily Splash Mentor. Hello there. Could be incredible in the future. I did lose a frog, so now I can't Polywallop and play Recruit with the offspring here. I mean, I definitely want to Polywallop the Angler at some point. Might be necessary now. I'll just take a hit. See how this works out for us. Next turn I can Mentor and Polywallop if they don't kill another frog. Down to 11. And they just pass the turn. Cool. Show me the counterspell. Although, please don't, actually. I would prefer if this resolves. Sweet. Alright, now we got our mana sink set up. We can start doing some silly things. Sugarcoat, turn into a food while I still get 3+1/+1 counters. God, I mean, I definitely put 1 on that to make it a 2/2 to trade into that. Put 1 there, so I've got a 5 toughness blocker for that. Put 1 there. Yeah, just spread it out. Spread out the love. And let's Polywallop while I still have the mana to do that. Shore up. Dang. Well, that would have worked at any point, at least. Woo! Look at all those triggers. Ooh, 5/5 haste. Hello there. Am I giving them a 1/1 fish here? I don't see a huge reason not to. Another 1/1 is not going to help them that much. Yeah, that seems like the right tap. I draw 3, they stun the Trample Boar. And here's a Pond Prophet. There's a Sky Skipper duo to flicker the Pond Prophet. Excellent. Run away together is a massive combat trick with 3 Tree Scribe on board. Beautiful. We even find a fight spell to try to kill the Angler again. Let's draw another card. It would be a little bold to try to kill the Angler, because they can give it a bunch of +1/+1s in response and try to win the fight. But I do have Runaway Together to put the Angler back in their hand if it goes really poorly for me. I guess I can just kill the boar then, right? And I don't even have to give them a fish to do that. Although I am opening up to them stacking a burn spell onto this and making me run away together. Which is not the greatest, but if they throw a burn spell at the scribe, I do get 3 +1/+1 counters on the rest of the board. Because this recruit is crazy. Alright. Hello, 3/4 prowess. So we start hitting in the sky, and maybe leverage or run away together to get a big 3 Tree Scribe attack in as well. That's just mana. Okay, so this is a 6/7 thanks to Runaway together, and I can bounce one of their blockers. So unless they block with like the whole board, the Scribe is probably fine to attack here. If they do block with the whole board, I get to kill a lot of creatures of my choice. Unless their hand is exactly another shore up, this combat probably goes pretty well for me. Right, I think that's the literal best block they could make. Because they'll still have 7 power against my 7 toughness card no matter how I do this. Yeah, very smart block from opponent. That definitely works out. Bounce. Bounce. Make this 6 power, so they need another spell to not lose both those creatures, but they are going to lose both those creatures. And while we have lost the 3-tree Scribe, we have gotten more than enough ahead on board to start swinging with the team now. Excellent. There's the concession from our opponent. That is 2-1 for our froggy friends. All right, Mist Breath Elder combos. Let's go. We are on the draw here, but I'm super happy with this hand. The Sun Shower Druid Mist Breath Elder is like the perfect little wombo combo to get us going. Could Longstock Brawl a 2/2 away, but I can already attack into that really easily, so I'm going to save that for a better threat later. Get our double green ready for Scrap Shooter, which we will not be playing on curve because I do need a bounceable creature for the Elder. If I just run out the Scrap Shooter, I just have to put it back in hand anyway. But I can play it on turn 4 alongside the Druid if I find a third green source. Steam Path Charger, sure. Boom. Ooh, a Pond Prophet? Pretty happy to see that. We're obviously going to Sun Shower Druid first, though. For the biggest swing. Ka-ching. And here's the Pond Prophet. Ooh, Tree Guard Duo as the play next turn. This is brutal. No blocks. I like these as cards to flicker. Players can't gain life. Well, that does shut off part of the Sun Shower Druid. Luckily, I can just fight that with Longstock Brawl. I'm probably gonna... I kind of wanted to play Tree Guard Duo here, but I guess now I'm playing Longstock Brawl, so we pick up Pawn Prophet. I can go Prophet and Brawl, even if I don't top deck the green source to go Scrap Shooter and Brawl. Yeah, because this is a 6/6 here. Well, I guess with Steam Path Charger, if I fight, that's 5 damage to a 6/6. 5, 6, 7 power over there. So I need this to be an 8/8 to attack in this turn. So 5, 6 from picking up the Druid, 7 from replaying the Druid, 8 from giving them a fish. I have to pick up Druid to be able to attack this turn as well on top of everything. So Druid there, that's power number 7, and then here's power number 8 by giving them a fish. So that's exactly enough toughness to still send in and force the chump here. Honestly, I could let them trade for Pawn Prophet, but I'm not going to. I feel like if I attack with Pawn Prophet, I'm just getting 1 extra damage in anyway, right? They're probably chumping. No, they are not. Actually pretty far away from mana sinking into the Fountain Port. Does feel like most modern limited formats have gotten too fast for mana sinks to be particularly exciting. This Fountain Port has been probably our biggest underperformer so far. Hasn't really done anything. But I'm not going to stop drafting it. I still believe. Big damage here. So we've got a race on our hands because we don't have any trample. I'm going to play the Duo and the Druid this turn. Cast 2 cards, gain a little life. Yeah, double spelling feels best. Although, with only one reach creature on their board, maybe even just playing the Sky Skipper Duo is best. Flickering Pond Prophet. Drawing another card here. Yeah, Sky Skipper Duo into Sunshower Druid is a lethal flying threat. They have to hold the board back at that point. Feels like a play. Cool. Gonna be a close one here. Because they still have a pretty significant swing this turn. Pathmaker's the play. Finds a 3/1 that can blow up an artifact or enchantment. Take out the trash, the flyer. All right, that's huge here. It's astronomically huge, actually. Could absolutely be the difference in the race. So no blocks. Puts me to 4. 3-Tree Scribe is the draw. Definitely need Vigilance on Elder this turn. So Vigilant Elder, Sunshower Druid for some life gain. Could Vigilant Elder and Pond Prophet, I guess. Alright, so we're killing the Charger, going to 3. But now I have the blocker up for the boar. If they don't top deck removal, they can't attack in. 3 life. How do I survive if they top deck removal then? If they top deck a Banishing Light to exile the Elder at 3 life, I don't think I can survive, can I? I guess I could block there and take 1 from that, and then I can chump here. Take exactly 3, so by gaining 1 life, I survive against removal. Barely. Let's do that then. I guess it's take 0 there and then take 0 there, so take 2 total, go to 2 life if they top deck Banishing Light. And obviously if they don't, we're just continuing to be in the winning position, ripping out a blocker every turn with our 10/10. This way we survive the Banishing Light and then scrap shooter it to get our Elder back and have plenty of blockers. I mean, we still might lose if they Banishing Light though, because this will be a 2/2. We'd have chumped with both of these. We'll have a 4/4, a 2/2, 3 more mana to play something else, like a 3-Tree Scribe or something as well. So I'd have like 3 blockers left, but none of them big enough to deal with the boar. Okay, good. They did not find the Banishing Light, which is pretty lucky. Okay, so I've got a 5 toughness blocker for their 5 power trampler, so now we continue to make them sack a creature every turn by sending in the Mist Breath Elder, and then we just play as much toughness as possible. Or as many blockers as possible. The head of the homestead for sure is part of the equation. Cool. Chump block. Play the scribe here, so I can spread counters out while I'm picking up cards with Mist Breath Elder. We have played a 1-mana 11/11 this game, I'd like to mention. It's pretty silly. We're almost at Phyrexian Dreadnought levels. Affiliated Provisioner. Send in the 6/6. 5, 7. I'm just going to play it real safe here and give it the triple block so we don't get randomly +2/+2 combat tricked for lethal or anything. The +2/+2 combat trick would still be excellent for our opponent because it does give indestructible. Alright, cool. They did not combat trick it up there. So, I mean, we have to play Scrap Shooter so that we have a reach blocker now. So we're going to spend 3 of our mana. We'll have 4 left over, so we can go Vigilance plus Reach Blocker is the play this turn. Although they actually have to chump the Tree Guard duo as well, so we could attack with both of these. Yeah, goodbye, Rabbit, actually. Splash Portal? Sure. I don't think I'm using that right now. They could double block the Tree Guard duo. With Pathmaker Provisioner, and then chump the Elder with the 2/2. But that would involve me killing their flyer, which I don't think they want me to do. That's looking like their best chance of getting out of this. They're gonna let me do it. Alright. I will do so happily. Unless they actually had the +2/+2 the whole time, but they've kept it to save the flyer. That would make sense, because they could have kept it so that, you know, if the flyer gets in, they just insta-lethal me. Alright, cool. Well, that changes things a little bit. We don't need the reach on board anymore. I think I'm still gonna play it, just to play around the enchantment that gives something +1/+0 flying here. Get a little life gain. Draw 2 more cards. Now I've got a 2/2 for the 4/2. Cool. Alright. Couple mice. When they're targeted, they buff all of the mice on the board. Hello, green shell. Try to just go for lethal here. It's a little risky, but we can speed things up. Like, definitely not worth it playing objectively correctly, but if we can finish this game, I'd like to finish this game. Get it over with here. I mean, the odds of them finding a crackback lethal here are massively low anyway. This is not that unsafe. Alright. I mean, maybe it was the best play. It plays around them top decking a board wipe, the 5 mana, destroy all creatures, but if they top deck a board wipe, we're still 5 cards ahead. Yeah, that was just a gross game. We just drew the full Wombo combo and they couldn't interact with the Elder all game. So, just did every synergy in the book for that card. And that puts us to 3-1 now, at least a 50-50 run out of this draft. Here we are for game 5. Gonna have to take a mulligan on this one. Alright, mull to 6 on the draw it is, but this has the Elder Sunshower Druid combo to get us going. To the lookout with the Elder to make sure we've got mana to play around with. I think I do it like this, but there's honestly not much to ramp into, and the Forager doesn't have any scrolls in this deck, so we could ditch the Forager. Because if I have the Elder on board, then I can't resolve the Forager in the first place. I've got to keep picking it up. Yeah, maybe this is wrong, but I'm going to get rid of the Forager here and just hope to look out. Because I basically can't play the Forager if Elder is still on board. I can't play the Forager till I have 3 mana anyway. Because I need to play Druid and the Forager to keep the Forager on board. So I might as well just play the Lookout at that point. And get a land off of it, and I can keep replaying it and getting more lands, which makes it like a double ramp. Okay, that card's horrifying, right? And that card's more than scary enough to just offer the trade, right? Every single creature they play is going to come with a +1/+1 counter. Yep. Well, I mean, Sunshower Druid Elder is a ton of damage, but every creature they play being bigger is a massive, massive problem. So let's offer the trade on attacks here. I don't think it's as good to try to do it on blocks because then they have all their mana up for nonsense. A little first strike trick or something. Unfortunately, we don't get the trade. Could chump here, but the Elder Druid combo is too good, and if they're going to play a Lizard, they will get the +1/+1 counter anyway because they get the 1 damage ping. Okay, it's not a Lizard. Dang it. Gosh darn dual dang. Oh. This is a nightmare. Got a green shell to ramp into now, so I mean, I just have to play the Lookout, right? Race, race, race. I don't even know how this race is gonna end. It's a scary one. I guess I can't really just play the green shell. Okay, thank goodness. Now I can. No creature this turn if they tapped out for that. Let's go. Boom. Green shell has arrived. I draw a Lily Splash Mentor. Lookout is not doing anything but chump blocking here anyway. Yes, we got a poke for 1 then. Was not expecting the lack of a blue source to become an issue here, but we have drawn into multiple blue spells and no islands now, so this is a concern for sure. Got a Longstalk Brawl to get rid of Gev, but I have to pay life to do that, and if they have instant speed removal, it plays really bad, but if they had any removal, they would have killed Green Shell and attacked all. So they should not have a response to Longstalk Brawl. If it was a combat trick, they would have attacked also. And I can Druid first and get another land here off Green Shell's ability, just in case Green Shell randomly dies. Buff the Lookout, get a little bit better reach blockers. Okay, still no blue source. I guess I can Sentinel back the Druid and try again, and then I have a 3/4 reach to block the 3/3 flyer if Green Shell dies. It actually feels pretty nice. Sorry, Longstalk Brawl. Got other very reasonable plays. Yeah, double triggering the green shell this turn is just very good. Well, we're 15 cards deep looking for that first island. Alright, play a lizard. Get the ping. We're down to 13. Our opponent's down to 12. We've got the better board and a full grip in hand here. Tree Guard Duo triggers Green Shell again and gets us a massive swing because they don't have any Death Touch. I'm going to play it safe and not attack with the Green Shell. I'll attack with the second biggest creature. Go, look out, go. Cool. They lose the Orator, which has a good ability in Graveyard. Or they can pick up another creature in grave, but they don't have another creature in grave yet. If I Brawl, they can go ahead and use that immediately. It is instant speed. So if I Brawl anything away, they just pick it up and recast it anyway, so I'm just going to pass here. Feels like we have stabilized and gotten real far ahead. I mean, there's a mountain of cards in hand. +1/+1. They have 3 black sources. This is a 5/5 menace. They only kill one of these two if I double block then. Cool. There's the blue source. Now we are popping off. Probably just Enchanter and just start going ham. Feels like the most damage we can get in here. Yeah, and there's the concession from our opponents. Excellent game for the Frogs. We are 4-1. Alright, we don't have our crazy combos with this hand or anything, none of the rares, but double Pawn Prophet does some digging. Got the Sky Skipper Duo to draw another Pawn Prophet card. Yeah, we're just rolling with it here. Can even just roll out with the Sun Shower Druid, might as well. 1/3 blocker to slow the game down a little bit. Give us time to draw all these Pawn Prophet cards. And there's plenty of ways to pick it up and flicker it later in the game. If its Enter the Battlefield effect would be more relevant later. Finch formation. Now we've got a solid 1-2-3 curve. Playing against a blue deck. Blue-white. Blue-white plays a lot of flyers, some unblockable threats like Shoreline Looter. Their creature type is birds in the format. Go, 1/3, go. Here's a Pawn Prophet. Rips us a Forest, which is not a bad draw considering we have a 5-drop in hand and a potential 6-drop if I wanted to formation on 6. I don't think I'm doing that though. I think I'm curving with it. Although I guess a 1/2 flyer means I wouldn't get any attacks in this turn anyway, but a 2/2 flyer is going to be a good blocker for us. Leads into a good Tree Guard Duo play. Yeah, I'm still just going to play Finch formation. Jump up, Looter. Oh, I have to target a creature I control? Dang. It's so weird how they choose that. Sometimes the card's like, this is only targeting a creature that I control, but this can target either player. I can have my opponent draw 3 with this, but I can't get my opponent's creature flying with this. Like, I wonder how they choose those things. Hold 4 mana up, I see. Sorry, Tree Guard Duo. We're going to play 2 2-drops because that is way too suspicious. Let's get them to use a combat trick on formation, I guess. And Tree Guard Duo is infinitely better pre-combat. Oh, great. Just get bomb rared. Well, that's filthy. Absolutely filthy. Get a 3/3 flyer and eat our creature for free. Seems good. Also gives the Looter flying, I guess, but it's already unblockable, so that's just kind of cute. Driftgloom Coyote as well, so if they play another bird, they can flicker that coyote and exile something else. It's kind of nasty. 2/4 attacks past the 1/2. Does not attack past the 4/5 Coyote, though. Well, this is looking real bad. Our opponent has hit their premium cards, and we have not hit our premium cards. They're at 22 life as well from this Life Creed duo nonsense. Play a single 3/3 flyer and hope they cannot clear it out. They could just play a bird, flicker the Coyote, give us the Scribe back, but take the duo away from us. Am I just digging with Mind Spiral? I don't even think that's that good. Guess I gotta find something, though. Break out of this. We gotta find something that actually kills the Swan. Okay, well, I can stun it. I can run away together now. Although they have good enter the battlefield effects on most of their board. Mistbreath Elder is definitely real on this board. We have 3 creatures that cost 2 or less that have relevant enter the battlefield effects. There's a Banishing Light. This is, I think, the first Banishing Light we've seen all day, and it'll be in like one of the only games we did not draw our 4/4 that blows up an enchantment. Not that it matters. I mean, the exiled in O2 pretty much. Just our 1-drop. Well, this is bad. Down to 8. A 3/4 reach is an extremely good stat line right now. We have found a rare. Feels better to hold up Runaway together than play Mistbreath Elder right now. Runaway together can prevent a lot of nonsense from going wrong here. Top or bottom of library. Just redraw that for next turn. Even if I don't run away together at back of my hand. But I really want to bounce their Swan anyway, and it feels better to just bounce this than it does to bounce the Pawn Prophet. I guess the 1/1 on the ground doesn't matter at all. Basically just making me skip my next draw step. I mean, I guess I might as well do this, right? Because the my next draw step is going to be spent redrawing the Entrancer if I don't run away together on that. And then playing the Pawn Prophet again is just going to be giving me the card that I would be drawing right now. So basically I'm drawing that card without spending 2 now. So at this point, Shoreline Looter is just unblockable and it draws them a card every turn. I have a 3/4 reach and a 3/3 flyer I can use to deal with the Salvation Swan. So even if they flicker Coyote to clear out one of those 2, I'll have a way to deal with it. I think I brawl away the Looter to get rid of the unblockable card. So 7 mana total, 5 to play the duo, 1 to play the Brawl, 1 to play the Elder. Now they have to Swan Flicker the Coyote to exile the duo to get any attacks in, and then I can play the Entrancer and they don't have the exile to deal with that anymore. Never mind, they top-decked Intrepid Rabbit. I mean, maybe it was in their hand, but it is incredible here. It's perfectly statted. We go to 3. Another Longstock Brawl is something. So I guess I can actually just straight kill the Coyote so that the Salvation Swan does not get to exile a flying or reach blocker here. Yeah, this feels like Longstock Brawl the Coyote now. Okay, they don't have attacks on board. Whenever they play the Swan, they're going to get the Rabbit back as a flyer in their end step, and I can block the Rabbit and the Swan with a duo and an Entrancer. I'm also going to stun a flyer when I play the Entrancer. Oh my god. If they hit 4 different card types, we just lose. Okay, they hit 3 different card types, but they hit incredible cards. Oh, it's only 2 card types, actually, land and creature. So they get 2 of these cards, they get to draw them. They get to draw a land and a creature. So they get a Castrol and a Coyote. Or sorry, or a Coyote. So they're going to get Coyote for next turn to clear out a flyer. Well, still a pretty good draw. Because Coyote plus Salvation Swan... I mean, I guess if they flicker the Coyote with the Swan, they give us back the first flyer. So that's just going to deal with 1 flying threat again. All right. Oh, stress all over. Thorn Vault Forager does not really change anything. Paw Patch Recruit kind of does. If they target anything with Coyote, we buff some other stuff. 100% playing Dream Dew and Tancer here, right? So we have got the 2 flying blockers. Sending him a 3/4s and a 4/4 right now. I feel like I have more than enough card draw going on. I just need to play to the board and get damage in immediately. Try to get like 2 or 3 turn lethal, ideally. So they have to be able to clear out a 3/3 flyer and a 3/4 reach and give +2/+2 to their flyer here. Maybe it was better to stun the duo. I mean, it would certainly be safer, but we'd be getting theoretically less damage in here. Okay, they're going to exile the Elder. And they just concede. They see the Paw Patch Recruit triggers, and they are over it. Close, stressful game there down at the 3 life, but incredible synergies from the Frog decks. Just pull out those long games. If you can stabilize, you can turn things around, and we are 5-1 in the money out of this draft, leaving with more gems than we paid to enter. All right, here we are for game 7 on the play. We got a good 2-3-4 curve. Obviously would like to hit a blue source for the splash portal, but it's certainly not necessary to the hand playing pretty well. Ooh, now the blue source is pretty necessary. Dream Dew Entrancer. Why can't I speak? Dream Dew Entrancer is a very good card. I would like to run that out as quickly as possible. So Life Creed Duo is going to be blocking here. Just play lookout and keep ramping. Keep hopping up the curve. Unfortunately, the land we find is a forest. But we still have plenty to do without the blue. All these options. Thought Stalker Warlock, so I have to discard a card here, probably a blue card then. Likely Splash Portal and Transfer is going to be higher impact by the time we find the blue source. Right, draw another blue card, definitely awkward. Get a Vigilant attack here, or get Elder combo to start going with these two. Both of these are good at trying to dig for the island. I think we get the Elder combo started. Guess I could pick up a land with the Sticky Tongue Sentinel. Considering I won't have the mana to replay either of the cards I would pick up anyway, and I do want to get it on the board. Yeah. I guess this way I'm threatening like a 1-mana instant. Might as well. I could also just not pick anything up. That's an option as well. We got a whole frog infestation here. An entire plague of frogs. I guess we just figure out what kind of trick they have here. Show me what it is, I guess. I feel like Lookout is going to be the better card to recast than Prophet next turn, unless I immediately draw the blue source. Since Lookout digs straight to the next land every time. Bummer. No more of that. They Banishing Light our bouncer. Then we'll just have to start beating their face with a bunch of frogs. Start flinging them around everywhere instead. 1-mana Polywallop is pretty impressive. I guess if I find any land, I can skip a turn to get a treasure token and then play my Entrancer. Carrot Cake is going to be multiple chump blocks and multiple scries for our opponent. Bit of a roadblock for us. They do immediately scry to the top, so a good draw is incoming. And a 3-tree mascot. Cool. Run away together. That'd be great with the blue source. I've got the Polywallop at instant speed if they want to try to get a double block kill going here, and otherwise our attacks are just good. They do want to try to get a double block kill going. Is it worth spending my only removal spell here? Honestly, probably not. Just to play around them having like an actually good follow-up creature. Alright, I cannot look at their graveyard right now because I don't have priority, and that is an arena bug going on. Alright, that is a good follow-up creature, and we need to kill that before their end step trigger. So I'm pretty happy I did not Polywallop yet. Make sure they don't draw anything off of Star Charter. Alright, I highly doubt I needed to go full control mode there, but might as well. Just to be super safe. Alright, well, there's the treasure token, I guess. We're going the long way around. Thank you, Fountain Port. Ooh. Wow, that's good. They're a double Star Charter deck. Had both in hand there. It's going to be some value here. Seems very good. draw into Wick the World Mind. So they drew into a rare as well. It's a 2/4 and a 1/1 snail. That is a huge, huge, huge roadblock. Neither of them have reach, I guess, if we can get Finch formation things going on. So what are we on? 3 Tree Scribe Runaway together, probably. Have to run away together the Star Charter. But then I don't have a blue source anymore for playing any of these next turn, so I can't even do the Finch formation jump that I want to do. I don't think I can just Enchancer or Entrancer and stun one of these because they both have really good abilities anyway. Yeah, I'm going to go Scribe run away together. Actually, with run away together in hand, I can send in both. And maybe Combat Trick the Life Creed duo away. By bouncing Star Charter and the Scribe. Alright, no blocks is fine. Then we hold that up for instant speed. Yeah, because if I just Entrancer down Star Charter, they play Wick, they draw another card, they have 3 blockers and a stunned Star Charter. I'm just not breaking through all that. Still not breaking through by run away together into Star Charter, but then they don't draw another card, and if I hit the blue source formation, we can get big flying damage in from there. I'm not loving it. We're not going to McDonald's today. Yep. Cool. Couple 3/4s on board. I actually probably should have made this 4 power to attack into Wick. Yeah, that was loose. I was not even thinking about the fact that I was getting the Scribe counter there. Although, top decking Longstock Brawl makes that play make sense, and I'm actually just a genius the whole time. I just knew I was going to have 4 power anyway. There's the blue source, let's go. Have a fish, my friend. Go, frogs, go. Go, frogs, go. Gotta kill them fast, because that Star Charter card draw engine is going to kick up again. They've got 2 chump blockers here, and a scry. But now we actually have the tools to try to kill them fast, with the Entrancer and the formation. With enough mana to get the Offspring out of the Finch formation as well. Get the adorable little token. Look at that. You gotta love the Offspring mechanic, just for the token artwork alone. Get baby versions of all the creatures with Offspring. It's pretty fantastic. Alright, Star Charter's back. 2 mana up. They might have scried a 2-drop to the top. Looks like it. Sonar Strike. Jeez, that was an excellent turn for our opponent. Did they get a draw off Star Charter as well? At least they missed on the Star Charter. That is definitely something. So they have 4 power on their board if I stun the Star Charter. However, the Charter only has 1 toughness. So, honestly, I don't think we mind if the Charter gets involved in combat here, because it means it dies, and they don't draw any more cards. So, we're probably just on kicking the Finch formation this turn. That means they don't get any chumps right now. They have to just lose a flyer. I should not have played that land. There are some discard 1 spells in this format, so having the land around to discard the 1 card would be good. Boom. I mean, this is just going to bounce off Life Creed Duo, but I might as well. At 19 here. Just in case they want to chump block our Tree Guard Duo with their Life Creed Duo, but I doubt it. Alright, they're down to 8. Glide Dive Duo, drain me for some life, get another flyer, that's super, super bad. Star Charter triggers again. Star Charter draws another Glide Dive Duo, Jesus Christ. Oh. So we stun 1 Glide Dive Duo, they still end up playing another. Or I stun my own 1/1 bird and sack it to Fountain Port, draw a bunch of cards, and try to find some better stuff. I think we are trying to find some great cards here, and Green Shell is a great card here. I can't play it immediately, though. Okay, can't play any of that immediately either. Alright, well, if Green Shell sees a land on top, it's pretty excellent next turn. Because that's the 10. Creatures you control get +2/+2. Oh my god. Yep. Green Shell can be our out to this Star Charter nonsense. Does it put the land into play tapped? Dang, it does put the land into play tapped, so I can't play Green Shell and Mind Spiral next turn. If I'm really lucky, I can still only play the Green Shell. If it put the land into play untapped, that'd be beautiful. 10 mana, just drop 2 5-drops in 1 turn. Banishing Light. Well, they used it before the Green Shell came out, and this is also a reach blocker. So not the end of the world. It's definitely not great for me. I start taking 3 in the sky. Well, I could go for the trade here, but I'm about to give my whole board +2/+2, so it'd be functionally like trading a 3/4 or 4/4 off. No, stop top decking flyers. I guess when you've got Star Charter just fully active, they're guaranteed to just repeatedly draw spells here. Wow, it's 2 options? The only way it would take this long is if there's more than 1 option in the top 4. Gross. Okay, Lily Splash Mentor is definitely something. It's also a 4-drop, so I can play Green Shell and the Mentor together. That feels good. Come on, land. Let's go. Get big, everybody. Get big. I have a 6/6 reach, a 6/8 reach, and a 3/4 reach. Yeah, we're going. We are going in. Even though it's my turn, I don't currently have priority, so I can't currently look at my grave. It's one of those bugs that just sounds so small, but it's so annoying dealing with it. Because I saw our opponent looking through our grave, so I was trying to see what they might be doing here. Yeah, anything that picks up creatures is not going to do much. I can't look at their grave until they give me priority, but we could see what options they have in their own grave for anything like that. Surveil 2, draw 2, they're digging. They lose 2 life as well, but they have just mountains and mountains of life gain on board, so that doesn't matter too much. How's that going to have a frog on the artwork? Look at this boy. It's a black spell with a frog on it. It's all about the green-blue frogs. I guess there is a green-blue-black mythic frog, isn't there? There are 2 mythic rare frogs. I don't think there's 2 mythics of every creature type. That'd be 20 mythics of just the main creature types. Yeah, frogs just got extra support with a Sultai mythic and a Bant mythic. There's the green-white-blue card that cares about mana value 4 creatures, and the green-blue-black card that cares about lands on top and it surveils and stuff. I think it also cares about mana value 4 or more, weirdly. Okay, they're at 7 life, but they just drew the Whisker Veil Forerunner, which is another way to just keep dumping creatures out all over the place. So now both our decks are just popping off to the extreme, and things are going to get pretty wild. So does this immediately enter the battlefield? Yes. And I have 11 mana. I can do this 3 times. I can triple Vigilant Swing with Tree Guard Duo. That's got to be better than Mind Spiraling. That's gross. For sure. Oh my god, I trigger the green shell each time too? Wow. I can Banishing Light? Or get rid of the Banishing Light with the Scrap Shooter here. Oh, this is such a turn. Destroy that. Boom. Trigger green shell. Stun. 3/3 flyer, I guess. Get another land. Flicker the duo again. Get another draw and another Vigilant Swing. I mean, these are lethal damage. Anyway, it's just going to be chomp chomp. Just play it safe and do it on the most expendable creature. Boop, boop. Let's go. Probably lose a Moonrise Cleric here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things on board that can block flyers. Feeling pretty safe unless they have a board wipe in their deck too. In which case we'll mill out before them in the end. And that's how they win. Surprising we'll mill out before them. We've gotten just that many triggers off of the green shell. Because they have gotten a few Star Charter triggers of their own. This is ridiculous. This is the most absurd board. I think it's the most absurd board that we've had today, but the frogs have just been going crazy, so maybe not. I mean, it's gotta be, though. We've never had the active green shell buffing everyone else as well. We've had like a 1-mana 12th Well out. Ooh, Coyote's a pretty big deal. Exile our best creature. It's gotta just be green shell, right? That will make everyone else smaller. They go for the flicker effect, though. It's fair enough. 4 blockers at 8 life. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breakthrough for 11 damage. I guess no, the 3/3 gets through. These two get through, so I get in for 7. If I Mind Spiral, it's lethal on board. Okay, let's see the trick, or they get lethaled. If it's instant speed removal for green shell, then they've got us. If it's not, we've got them. That's pretty much the stakes here. If it's the 3-mana destroy a creature, you lose 2 life. Alright, they do not have that. And that is going to be lethal, and that is now 6-1. We are 1 victory away from a 7-win trophy run with maximum prize out of this draft. All right, here we are. Game number 8. Could be the final game if we can turn it into a victory, and the hand is pretty dang good, so it's possible. Definitely want to Recruiter turn 3. To get maximum value off of that, and to get multiple creatures on board alongside Tree Guard Duo. There's the Assassin. Can bounce off of that with our 1/3 at least, so I just get drained for 1 every turn instead of taking the extra damage. Black-red lizards is probably the most straightforwardly aggressive archetype in the format. I mean, their mechanic is all about dealing damage to your opponent. So playing against a black-red lizards deck that's on the play is pretty concerning, but the hand's quite strong. I think it could be able to stabilize against this sort of deck. Especially once we get our 3/4 body down, that's going to be a massive turn for us. Green Shell is such a strong card to top off this curve that it might be worth throwing Recruit under the bus just to soak up some early damage. Trade it into the Cutthroat here. Ooh, they get a Mentor draw. They haven't played land for turn yet, so this digs for a land here. I guess they could kill both of these, and then I just have the 1/1 rabbit left over, but the 1/1 rabbit can still block that, but this 1/3 can block that super well. I mean, I'm about to play a Tree Guard duo, which is considerably worse losing these creatures, but we're definitely on the defensive, trying to stabilize against their nonsense. And I think we want to stop like every point of damage we can. Yeah, I mean, we end up just trading 3 drops. Sure. Not the best we've seen Paw Patch Recruit be, but I think in this position, it's our best bet. Okay. They have 3 power on their board. That is 5 toughness. Let's get some free damage in. That's a 5/5 trample haste against 4 power. Okay, please do not kill my green shell, or I'm gonna die to this boar. Got a lot of card draw in the hand, though. Hopefully they're on red removal spells and not black removal spells. The black removal in this format is all just like destroy target creature, exile target creature, does not care how big your booty is. But red is all about just a little burn damage. It's an oops from our opponent. I don't know what the oops was about there. They have a sack ability for green shell and they're doing like an aggressive oops, or was the oops because they played a land before the mentor trigger? It's probably because they played a land before the mentor trigger. This is a lot of damage. 9? Ooh, it's gonna be hard to survive. I mean, all I can do is trump here, though. I guess I just take 9. Because these are much better blockers elsewhere. Yep, and then they hit land off the mentor, so they did get punished for the pre-combat land there. Oh boy, that's so much trample on their board. Head of the Homestead is the most defensive play we can make, but I don't even know if it's enough. I could stun one of the tramplers. 1 mana off from being super happy here. Wish this had hit a land, because then we could go like 2-drop plus 1 of the 5s. We've got to just be playing Head of the Homestead, right? I'm pretty sure we just have to do this. But 9 trample and 2 guaranteed points of life loss from double assassin. Now they're going to have a trick here to survive some combat. Guess I need to try to kill the boar over anything else. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power. Boom. Die to like any trick in the book. I block like this. I die to less stuff if I put green shell at risk of dying, but then our best blockers are straight up dead and gone. Which feels astronomically bad. I'm functionally at 2 here. So I'll chump 1 extra point of damage. There is a 2 damage burn spell. Okay, we're dead. That's 3 extra damage. That's exactly enough. Gross. Alright. Kind of the lizard's dream curve on the play. Little too much for us to stabilize against. We were like 1 point off from surviving there, so if I went for blocks that put green shell at more risk to stop more damage, potentially barely survive and then die to the assassins next turn anyway. So I'd be killing 1 less assassin there. Yeah, I don't really think there was a way to survive that. Like, maybe if green shell had hit a land, and then we top decked the Prophet plus 5 drop, being able to play that plus Prophet, so wide enough to barely survive, but just an excellent aggressive curve from our opponent on the play. A little too much. Alright, here we are for the final game of Magic. Win or lose, this will be the last game of the day. Don't get to start off till turn 3, but at least we're on the play here, which is tremendously helpful. Okay, not drawing any lands so far is awkward. Actually gonna play the Finch formation first, because now if we top deck one of our 1-drops, we've got a couple of them. I'll be able to at least use the extra land drop to get some mana back here. Play Sentinel plus a 1-drop. Tray Leader. Pretty bad draw, but not the worst, since it's technically mana. Kept a 3-lander, and we have not seen any lands in the first 3 draw steps. Pretty big bummer. Now I have to discard a real card. Skyskipper Duo likely will need this to get the wide board to stabilize. There we go. We found the land, and with the Forager, that means we immediately stabilize off Head of the Homestead. Now we're playing a game. Unfortunately, behind a bit in cards here thanks to the Warlock. Sure. If they have a combat trick here, we're still trading the Head of the Homestead into 2 of their cards. Yeah, this is great. Head of the Homestead gets to kill the Dray Leader and get rid of Ambusher's Enter the Battlefield effect. I guess they probably let us kill the Warlock instead of the Dray Leader. No, they're gonna let us kill the Dray Leader. Cool. Yeah, perfectly fine value. Our 1 card killed 1 of theirs and half of the effect of another one. Right. 6 mana, which means I only cast 1 spell no matter what. Probably just Vigilant attack with the Forager, because honestly we have no squirrels in the deck to tutor off of its ability. So we might as well just trade it up into a 4/2. I guess I have the Forage. 3 cards in grave. I actually have the Forage. So I can play Sticky Tongue Sentinel or Polywallop. I'm not going to Polywallop either of these. Let's get the Sentinel down. Sure. That feels pretty good. Although I'm not really picking anything up. Just committing to the board. Well, that's the Polywallop target. Hopefully they don't have 4 card types in their grave. They don't. They have 2 cards in there. So if 4 or more card types get exiled with it, it's a 7/7 trample. Pretty glad I just exiled my whole grave right before they did that. Just some extra value out of the Thorn Vault Forager. So yeah, we polywallop that before it becomes a 7/7. They're at 16 here. I think we can race. Although they need a trick to ruin this double block. Sure, show me like a really good trick here. We don't even lose a creature if they don't have something. Let's see what it is. Okay, that's fine. 1-for-1 trade. Trade their combat trick for our 3/4. They do gain a bunch of life in the process, which means we are doing even worse in the race, but they're down to 1 card in hand, and if it's not instant speed removal to stop the polywallop, then we're stable-ish. They are ahead because their Mudflat Village can pick up a creature from their grave. It can't pick up a raccoon, at least, but it can pick up their Dray Leader Squirrel thing. Yeah, we do have to draw well, but we've got a lot of card draw in this deck. Yeah, we have to just play the defensive here and hope to outdraw our opponent. So they're 1 card ahead of us right now. So they're technically not drawing blind, but it was only 1 card in their hand, so mostly they are. So yeah, their best play is to use the Mudflat Village. Probably recast the Squirrel. There it is. So with a play like that, it does very much look like they're basically playing off the top as well. Sure. Goodbye, Forager. We get rid of the Menace. And we got a draw out of this. That is not a draw out of this. Looks like our opponent did not top deck a land in the last 2 turns, which is super rough. Honestly, probably have to trade. If I don't, this stacks up into 8 damage over just 2 swings. I could stop 8 damage by chumping right now. Or by trading right now. Alright, yep. Flyer that drains us life. We find a 2/3 on the ground. At least that stops Dray Leader if they don't draw another Squirrel. Better than our land draw, at least. Our opponent has finally found a land. They drop a 2/1 alongside it, which is a Changeling, which means it's very good here. It makes the Dray Leader big enough to attack into the Scribe. Oh boy, alright, GG. This card's pretty unbeatable. Draws you an extra card each upkeep. Does shoot you in the face to do it, but there's tons of life gain in the format, as you can see from all the food tokens they can get. And even if you have removal to stop it, it has the Offspring ability, and you have to kill both for your opponent not to draw twice as many cards as you. They get to draw 2 a turn even if we kill one of these, and if we don't, they're drawing 3 cards a turn total. Draw step and double trigger. RIP. That is 6-3, a super disappointing ending to the draft. Not making it to the full 7 winner here, getting 2 losses in a row to end it off. It really doesn't feel like there was anything we could do these games. That's lethal, right? Yeah, that's exact lethal. I have to chump. If I have to chump anyway, we chump with the poopier creature. Oh, this one doesn't have reach. Well, then I can do this. 2, 4, 5, 6. Sure. I guess now I'm not killing any of the augurs. Just kind of rough. Oh, they hit the trick too? Yep, that is lethal. Is it? No, it's 1 damage from lethal off of surprise food for Dray Leader. And just a little flood for us. Sad day. Well, unfortunately, we don't get to start things off with a 7-win run for our first Premier Draft of the format since the set's release. But I'm still really happy with this draft. I think we ended up with an incredible deck here. This absolutely could have been a 7-win deck. We just ran into some very fierce competition, some excellent decks, and some excellent draws from our opponents, pulling those 3 wins away from us to 6-3 instead of a full 7-win run. Again, excellent deck. Really happy with everything here. We had, tons of rares. Most of them played pretty well. As for any under and over performers, I want to give Mistbreath Elder a pretty huge overperformer reward. We had it in basically the first half of our games, and it was consistently pretty incredible. Drawing it when our opponents didn't have a lot of removal worked out really well for us multiple times. This thing ended up being like an 8-8 and a 12-12 in a couple games, so that was ridiculous. And even the games where they did eventually end up killing it, we got like pawn profit value. We had to force some chumps earlier with it. So Mistbreath Elder played just as 100% upside for us, which was really nice. Again, you have to be playing it in the right deck for it. You've got to be like Green Blue Frogs, and you've got to have the Pawn Prophet, Sunshower Druid, 3 Tree Scribe, the cheap stuff that's going to work well with it. But when you have that, it's a really, really excellent card. So overperformer here. I thought that ability would be a downside on occasion, and it was almost never a downside for this deck. Green Shell's another overperformer, because this card looked pretty great, but it was also just completely absurd. This turtle's just super, super stupid. Basically won every time we found that. I guess we still died to lizards, curving us out super, super quick. But that was just, on the draw against hyper aggro, it happens. Doesn't mean the green shell's bad. For the biggest underperformer in the deck, probably the Forager. Probably drafted it a little highly. I was expecting to find some squirrels that were good enough to shove into a non-squirrel deck, but the only ones we really saw in the draft pod were like the 4-mana 2/4 reaches, which are kind of whatever. So this was kind of just like a pretty mediocre mana dork for the deck. We never even got that much value out of the mana. The best game for it was honestly the last game that we played. That one turn we got a Vigilant swing out of it and Forged for double mana. It was pretty fun, but that's about the only thing it did all draft long, so yeah. Overall, again, great deck, great run, very happy with how I drafted. Thought I played pretty decently as well. Just got a little outclassed by some great decks in the end. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.